StreamYard. So right now I'm streaming live on both StreamYard and YouTube. We're talking about the N.A.R. Lawsuit. I almost said settlement by accident, but it's not. It's not a settlement. I believe there were some companies that actually did settle. As I was reading through it, I think a couple of companies settled, but N.A.R. and Keller Williams and others. Hold on, I'm not sure when this happened. You know why? Because I have my YouTube. Let me close that window. All right, cool. Sorry about that. But yeah, so that's what's going on. So if anybody wants to come into the conversation, I'm going to drop a link at the top. You can join me on StreamYard, and you'll be right in the live stream with me. We can have like a talk conversation back and forth. So let me do this. Let me drop that StreamYard link at the top. And if anybody wants to join me on StreamYard, let's go. I want to talk about it. I want to go. I love it. I am a huge fan of. I'm not a fan of this per se, but I think it just creates a lot of opportunities. And I believe the system has been, yeah. See that my what I say is not going to be popular. But again, being somebody that's only done listings for, what, 12, 13, 14 out of the last, since I got my license, 14 years, I dealt with the buyer side. I dealt with sellers not wanting to pay a buyer's agent. I dealt with sellers saying, why do we have to pay a buyer's agent? And and I think there's some situations where it makes sense, and I think there was other situations, unfortunately, where somebody just I had a situation where somebody called, Zillow sent somebody a lead. They didn't even know the person. They met him at my listing, right? They met him at my listing first time they met, from a Zillow lead, and then they made an offer on the property and got a $20,000 commission. So I mean, I don't know. It kind of is what it is, I guess. But at the same time, those are the types of things that I think are created this challenge. So I've got it's great. I have 4 people on YouTube. I'd love to get some of you guys on the stream. So if you're interested, I dropped the link at the top, and if you go to that link, there's 2 things you can do. You can jump into the you could see it on YouTube, or you can also, the first one is you can join the stream, and it'd be cool to get somebody to pop in with me on the stream if you're interested, and then we just have a conversation going back and forth. So feel free to do that. Now, do we have any questions or comments? Let's also, before we get into it, I want to invite some more real estate agents need to get into this conversation. This is an important conversation, so we need to invite more real estate agents, and this is like what you need to know. We've got who we got Rogelio's up in the house. We got Patty in the house. We got some people in here that know what they're doing. So I want to hear from some of you. Also, let's invite some other top real estate agents in here so we can hear from you guys. And I want to know what your thoughts are on this. So we'll start with you, Patty. You were the first one up here. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, first of all, even though I am an investor and I actually have a property for sale right now that just came out of probate. And with that being said, I really love hearing you. So I'm on the fence about jumping on the StreamYard because I feel like the experts should be on there. However, I love learning about it. And as well as that is David. Oh my gosh. I am for it. I know this is a disappointment, but everybody's if you're putting work of any kind, you should be receiving a return of some sort of value. So, I'm not saying they should get a lot of 50% if they're just an agent on a paper. However, I think I come from a commissioned based, I'm self-employed. If I'm putting work in, I do want a return on my work.
Yeah.
So I'm for it. But the details, I'm not an expert because it's not my lane. So I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm giving it back to you.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with, and I'm not saying somebody shouldn't get paid for their efforts. I think the challenge here is who should be paying for the buyer's agent is the challenge, right? And it's, I mean, obviously this lawsuit's been going on for years, not months, not days, years, and they made a decision yesterday, and they found guilty in conspiracy. It's, they called it a conspiracy. I mean, if you can actually, there's a really good article. I think it's the New York Times. Is it the New York Times? Yeah, it is actually the New York Times. I'll put out an article. A federal judge ruled Tuesday that the powerful National Association of Realtors and several large brokers, including Keller Williams and some others, have conspired to artificially inflate commissions paid to real estate agents, a decision that could radically alter the home buying process in the United States. The groups, check this out. The groups are ordered, guys. They're ordering a $1.8 billion. I mean, I don't know what that's going to do to yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Association of Realtors has 1.5 million members, but they also got other stuff going on too, right? They have another lawsuit going on at the same time. It's tough. I don't know. Keller Williams is involved in this. I don't know financially what their situation is, but I mean, 1.8 billion, that's a lot of money. And the speculation that it could swell, it actually could triple, up to five to 6 billion by the time it's done, because all these other ambulance chasers and other people are going to start coming out of the woodwork, and then all these class action attorneys will probably start popping up and trying to go back to sellers. Like, I was thinking about this earlier, like all the people that sold houses with real estate agents now, maybe, I don't know, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but who knows, they may be able to now file a claim that, hey, you know what, I was manipulated, I was conspired against. I'm suing for that other half of the commission back. I mean, that could happen. I mean, hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't. But again, for me, it's about moving forward, right? That's it. Literally, I'm not going to say I'm excited about this, because it's not an exciting, but I'm excited about the opportunity it creates. Personally, I think it creates a big opportunity for people like me, for people that want to focus on the listings, for people that know how to have these conversations, and I think it's going to be, business as usual for a lot of people. I mean, I was there when they switched from the book. Back in the day, it was a book, and then they switched from the book to MLS online. I remember that. A lot of people were fired up. They didn't like it, right? And then there were people before that, before my time, that, there wasn't even a book. Like, there was just the list. You got the list, the office got the list, and that was it. The buyers had to come to the office. And there were no buyer agents back then, by the way. Buyer agency wasn't even around. I don't know if I think buyer agency was started like the year before I started in the business. So anyway, what do you think about this, Rogelio? I'll toss it over to you for a minute.
Hey, David. Hello. Hello, everyone. Rogelio Martinez from beautiful Long Beach, California. And what I'd like to add to this conversation is that I actually look at the good because, I'm an optimist. I'm a glass half full individual. So I don't like to focus or dwell on the bad. So the one positive that I see, that hopefully this inspires each and every one of you. Hopefully this inspires you to stay on, to be a realtor, right? So a realtor means that you are paying your dues to NRA. That's number one. Number two is, hopefully with those dues, now you're going to hold yourself accountable because now you've paid those dues. So bear with me. So 99.9% of the agents are what I call passive agents or passive realtors, meaning they pay their dues to N.A.R. And it's kind of like, hey, N.A.R, you just take care of me, right? Take care of me with the DOJ, take care of me with any lawsuits, take care of me to ultimately protect my commissions. Well, I'm here to tell you that, you know what? It's better to be an active, meaning rather than a passive realtor, be an active realtor, meaning participate in your local board, and then ultimately, if you can, the nationals, because it's very easy to complain about something. And I know it takes a lot more work to do something, but believe me,
Rogelio, I'm going to jump in because I'm not. I hope you're not saying I'm not complaining about anything, man. I hope you're not referring to me. And I'm not
no,
clear on where we're going with this because this is. I mean, there's a lot of realtors out there that are involved, that in their local boards in there. But this is. I think this is a lot bigger than that. So
it's
how do you connect this? Tell us how you're going to connect this to what you're saying.
absolutely. So I'm going to connect it in two ways. So way number one is, so N.A.R is completely being challenged, right? N.A.R's sacred cow is fighting for our commissions. And you've heard this, that this is not anything new, but that is the sword that could potentially, you know, be their demise, meaning they're going to continue to fight, and that's because they're ultimately fighting for our commissions. That's number one. Number two, you know that the MLS system is highly fragmented. There's probably something like almost 500 MLSs across the nation, right? And there is national MLSs in the form of what we call Realtor.com and Zillow, right? Those are national MLSs, even though they're not marketed as MLSs. Believe me, those are MLSs. So you're going to see the rise of, of other companies coming in. There's one actually in Southern California. It's currently also being sued against. They're known as the PLS, the Pocket Listing Service. It was founded by three agents at the agency brokerage in Southern California. They're being sued. They were actually sued by N.A.R because N.A.R controls the MLS system. And then the last thing that I wanted to say is that, and this is not going to be the popular vote.
I'm gonna stop for that for a minute because what you just said is exactly what, like you said, that there's a pocket listing company that's being sued by N.A.R, right? Or N.A.R is trying to sue them, and so that is what you just said is exactly what's creating what we're dealing with now. Why? Because N.A.R wants a part of everything, right? Like N.A.R thinks all realtors, all sellers should. And again, I'm not saying I'm a realtor, so I agree sellers will get more money using a real estate agent. But at the same time, I mean, you can't tell somebody they have to use a real estate agent and I think that's one of the challenges, Rahaley. I feel, and I don't know if that's where you were going with it, but to me, I think that's one of the challenges of our industry.
Where I was going with it is that, the reality, and this is not the popular vote. I'm probably like in the 1 percentile, but the popular vote is that, the LAs, the listing agents, control the inventory, and that is 100% correct. So the LAs control the inventory, 100% correct. However, buyers agents, for some reason, they have never really given themselves any value. And let me give you an example. So, hey, you get me for free. I work for free for you because who pays me is X person, right? I've heard so many agents say that. And I'm like, that's your that's your value proposition? Is that they're getting the benefit of your time for free? Are you freaking kidding me? Here's where I'm not popular. The buyer sets the true value of anything. Anything in real estate, we call that the appraised value. No, that's still a guess. The buyer is who ultimately determines value. That's number one. Number two, the buyer is who actually pays everybody's commission. That's correct. Because without said buyer, nobody gets paid because the deal doesn't get done. So the reality is that buyer's agents have literally like given the power away. There's power being an LA, but guess what? There's power being a BA. So, and you can do both. Take back your power. Seriously, because guess what? Without your buyer, nobody gets paid. I'm complete.
So Rogelio, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I see where you're going with it. At the same time, you can debate this that the money the proceeds of the sale are what's paying the buyer's agent, and the proceeds of the sale are money that comes from the seller settlement. So ultimately, it is the seller side that is paying. Although, yes, the buyer is giving them the money, but a percentage of that money, like I sell my house for $400,000 and I pay a 6% commission, then the 6% commission comes from the $400,000, right? Now, let's just say there was no buyer's agent. You'd still could sell the house for 400. I would imagine, if not more sometimes. But instead of 6, there would be 3. So I think that's the fight, that the argument that they have. That, I mean, that, right? And again, I'm not telling you. I'm just telling you that this is what was just in court yesterday, and they ruled in favor of the sellers. So it's not just me that thinks that, or it's. So yeah, I'm open. I see Karen flashing. What's up, Karen? What are your thoughts? Maybe I'm being muted or something. Who
Oh
knows?
man, hopefully there we go.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what happened. That was weird.
There we go, David. We got you back.
Yeah, that was really weird. I just like went blank. No idea what happened. That was really strange. So I don't know the last thing you guys said, or you heard, but I don't know. Yeah, that was probably like good 2 to 3 minutes. Can you hear me now?
Crystal clear.
All right, good. So I think the last thing I'd asked for some other people to jump in, but I think the last thing I remember saying before I realized I wasn't speaking was that, there was a court case yesterday, and they settled. The verdict went in favor of the lawsuit, the sellers. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that. I know, because what Rogelio said was about the buyer paying the commission, but at the end of the day, it comes from the proceeds of the seller's sale of the house. So I think to my point, I think that, and then also you have a jury of people that deliberated over it, and they also believe that too. So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that, like, because I know some of you are saying, well, the buyer's paying the commission, but that's not really the case. The seller, it's coming from the seller's proceeds. So what do you guys' thoughts?
I believe that it's coming from the seller's proceeds, but the buyer sets the standard of what the proceeds is going to be.
I don't. Well, I would say, as a listing agent, as a really good listing agent, that's what they're hiring me for, to be able to negotiate on their behalf, just like a sports agent, right? So you should be able to, as a listing agent, you're going to negotiate and get your seller every single penny you can for that house, regardless if you have to pay another agent or not. And I'll be honest with you, maybe this is why I'm biased, because I know, doing it 21 years and selling a lot of houses. You can go look me up on YouTube if you want, and you see me on stage with Gary Keller. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna post that video. But what I want, there's been so many situations where deals didn't come together because there were other real estate agents involved that probably could have came together if those other agents weren't involved. And I think that's probably part of the frustration too, with a lot of sellers and agents like me.
But how about if the price of the property is too high and no one is buying it, regardless of how good your negotiation skills are or not? A lot of times, that's why some properties expired, because none of the buyers agree with that price.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. I think so. As again, going back to negotiations, you have to be a good listing agent. So you're going to help them put the property on the market at a price that's going to cause it to sell, right? And if you,
Exactly. So the buyer again sets the price because the buyer's not going to buy anything they don't see value in.
well, this is like that what comes first, the chicken and egg conversation. I don't. I think at the end of the day, a buyer. You're right. A buyer is going to decide what they're going to pay. But like I have a Rolex watch. I bought it 10 years ago. I think I paid like $8,500. It's worth a lot more than that right now. If I decide to sell that watch, then if if I decide to sell that watch, then I'm gonna make a decision how much I want to sell it for. And if a buyer wants to give me what I want, then I'll sell it. If they don't, then I don't sell it. That's it. Nobody's gonna make me sell my watch. So again, I think that's another one of those, just like Rogelio's argument with regards to who pays the commission. I think it's another one of those things where we could just debate and go back and forth and say, really, who sets the price, the buyer or the seller? I think it's perspective. Personally, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I think it goes either way, right? Because sellers could say, I'm not selling you the house then, and that's it. Then there is no set price, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then they don't sell the property. They keep the property because no buyers see that value that the seller sees. I mean, we come into that situation a lot of times.
Yeah, I think there are a number of things that affect that it's not easily decided the same way in every case, right? Because even when someone is not motivated from a standpoint of like a financial situation, there are could cause a seller or a buyer to offer something that's not based on comps. And here's something that I came across, David, that I didn't know the other day. So did you guys know that a buyer, because the appraisal is the proprietary information of the lender, and the buyer, because they're paying for it, if the appraised value is more than the purchase price, and the buyer has some cost, then the buyer can tap into the equity to be able to pay off maybe some additional costs. And I didn't realize that. I heard that for the first time yesterday. So, for example, let's just use 500,000 because I know everybody's in different markets. Let's just say the sales price is 500 and the appraised value comes back at 525, and the buyer needs, let's just say, $10,000, needs to come up with $10,000 to be able to take care of some additional expenses. And I know this is really new when it comes to like agents, so I'm just being very careful how I'm saying that. But just kind of read between the lines when I'm saying additional expenses. The lender may be able to finance that extra $10,000 into the loan without actually changing the purchase and sell price. And I'd heard that for the first time. So with that being the case, that would be an example, I think, of where the buyer does have it is setting the price, so to speak.
And Norman, you're gonna see that because those are extremely rare cases, but I think that the possibility of seeing those cases more so now in this environment is greater than ever. And the reason why, and you know what, actually, I'm glad that this is happening at this time. Because think about it. We have literally in my zip code, I'm literally at 0.005% inventory. If I was to round that up, that means that I'm at a 1% inventory in my zip code. That means we have no inventory. So we have no inventory, and the buyers are like just on the fence, just going, I'm not doing that at 7 point. Did
are the perfect lot for this matter. And we are over here in the US and we are free. So this business is going to take care of itself just like a good app. You put the app out there and you watch people use it, and it's going to tailor itself. So my point here is this: the agents that want to pay zero to a buyer's agent, that's fine. That's good. And you know what's going to then happen? Two different things going to happen. Zero is the pressure on that agent to have a buyer. You better have that buyer. And then on top of that, the other agents, the information is going to get out. The sellers are going to learn, hey, this agent is basically saying that he has the buyer. So if you're sitting there on the market for a month and a half longer than what you should, or 2.5 months longer than what you should, why? It's because this agent does not want to share. So he had better have the buyer. That's one. Next is the agents are going to start marking those zero agents for death. Know that. Now, death not meaning killing, death meaning I'm not sharing with you later, dude. It ain't going to happen. Or when you bring me an offer, it ain't going to happen. Now, we all want to talk about ethics. We all want to talk.
I don't agree with this conversation, man. This doesn't make sense. I'm not going to buy it.
All right.
I'm not buying it.
ruler.
I'm not buying it
You're
because
the ruler.
listen, how many houses have you sold, man? I've sold over 1,100 homes. I've
Dead.
listed a couple hundred homes a year. When you list nice properties, I'm telling you, when you list nice properties, they will come to you. All right. This is what I'm talking about. People will come to you. All right. All right.
Dave,
no, you're not going to.
Dave, the point that I'm trying to make is that the system is going
System
to
is king, buyers come.
the system is going to fix itself. You'll see.
Yeah,
It
well,
is
it's
going to fix
evolving.
itself.
It always does.
It
Of
is
course.
going to fix itself. And
But-
agents that are out here thinking that you have this buyer and you don't need other agents, good. Prove out. But the information is going to happen as well, where these homeowners are going to know what's happening. Oh, so you're going to sell it on your own? Well, how long will that take? So you have that buyer? Oh, okay. Let's see.
So let's talk about it. So inventory right now is at an all-time low. You've got dozens and dozens of buyers, if not hundreds of buyers looking for properties in areas. You're telling me that if the perfect house shows up for them in the right school system at the right price, they're not going to buy it because some real estate agent, buyer agent, is not getting paid a commission on it? Is that truly what you believe is going to happen? They're gonna say, well, you know what? Forget my family. Forget about being in a school system I want. Forget about being in a neighborhood I want to be in. I'm not buying it because there's no compensation to my agent. That is a dream. That is not good the way it is. All right. And there will be some situations. I get it. There are going to be some situations, to your point, where some agent's going to put a mediocre listing up and it's not going to sell because nobody's going to cooperate with him. So I agree with you on that. What I'm talking to you about, though, is when you're a great listing agent and you're listing properties at the right price and you're putting them up the right way. I personally think I think you figure it out, and I have no issue at all. Don't get me wrong, it's zero issue cooperating with agents, and I think agents could even come and still, like, even if it says zero on the MLS, you could still come and say, hey, listen, my client loves this property. We're going to make an offer, but I'm going to ask for 2.5% or 3%, whatever you want. You can still do that. I'm not even saying don't do that. I just don't agree that it's going to hinder really, really good properties.
So David, because you want to actually find out like possible solutions, what I think, and this is a theory, there's nothing to substantiate it, but what I think is hopefully agents, not just buyers agents, not just listing agents, but just agents, adopt the becoming a dual licensee if your brokerage or your state allows it. So my point is having your state real estate license and in addition to that, having your state NMLS license. That's what I'm talking about, being a dual licensee. And the reason why is because if you can be of service, be an educator, and solve the dilemma of these high interest rate environment that we're in, then you're the hero. And now that is a amazing value proposition, right? And now you've got a ton of value, right? So I think that there's much more. The market is proving that there's much more than just marketing a home. There's much more than just having a pool of buyers. It's not that simple. Be creative because, at least in California, we can actually do all three. We can have a dual agency, or we can be a dual transaction agent where we're not providing agency, but more providing the transaction side on both sides of the transaction. And in addition to that, we can get our NMLS licensed and then now have like essentially 3 in 1. Anyways, I'm complete.
Thanks, Rogelio. I'm not. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't know there's a difference. I mean, I think in our state, when you get licensed as a real estate agent, you get access to the MLS. You pay. I don't think there's a separate license for the MLS. I think it's just part of your
No, I'm
membership.
talking about the N. So N as in Nancy, MLS, meaning being a licensed mortgage loan originator.
Oh, got it. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's different. Yeah, well, yeah, certainly creativity on the mortgage side is going to help, but I think that's a different conversation because I don't think that doesn't change. Like the lawsuit has nothing to do with that, right? At the end of the day, it's this has been going on for a long time. What 8 years now? So I mean, this has been going back and forth for a long time, and they finally said, okay, yeah, we find you responsible. So they're in appeals right now, but that it doesn't. I don't know. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it doesn't look good because I don't know. I'm not involved in the case, but the reality is, yeah, like what I think. What are you going to do moving forward? I think you just got to continue focusing on listings. And this is what I do. I teach people how to go out there and get listings. And I'm going to continue doing that, and I dropped the link at the top. And if you want to learn what the things that I've been doing since 2009 to get listings, and now it just made my job easier. All this does is make my job easier as a listing agent. Like, and again, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you, like Freddie, I'm not saying I don't want to pay other agents. Okay. Cause I'd be the first guy to call Freddie and say, Freddie, hey, if you got a buyer, bring me an offer and then let the seller decide what they want to do. But I think the thing with N.A.R is they're saying that the brokerages are making the sellers before anybody even shows up, pay another agent, and they're calling it a conspiracy. So, at the end of the day, if someone shows up and says, "Hey, I got a buyer, and he wants to buy your property, and he doesn't have the resources to buy it. I mean, he has the resource. I'm sorry, he doesn't have the resources to pay me, or whatever you want to say. But we want to make an offer. We want to ask you, seller, to add whatever." I would certainly submit that to my client. Right. Let me. I want to hear from Maria. Let's see what your thoughts are. Well, Freddie, I saw you on mic, so I'll let you talk. Then we'll go to Maria.
My last point, Dave, is you mentioned earlier, like what happens, like, okay, these buyers are just going to go straight to the listing.
Some will.
Without an agent, right? Sure, of course. Out of 10, I'm going to say maybe 3 out of 10 will. Okay,
maybe
7 are going to be looking for an agent. Or let's say that 7 goes without a buyer's agent. That your equity, that your power, that your trust is put to who? The seller. So that means that we're going to see a gouging, and we are going to see an unfair market being placed on the person buying. They aren't going to be repped in full the way that they should, because your first allegiance is to whom?
The
The
seller, as
person
a seller's
selling.
agent. That's
Exactly.
right.
So then these
100%.
people are going to get screwed over. That information is going to get out there because agents are going to talk about it on video and say, hey, you go out there without me, good luck, because that agent, that listing agent, his daddy is the person selling, and he's trying to please daddy. So you are going to be treated like crap. And
I don't know,
yeah,
Freddie. I'm
yeah.
not buying it, Freddie. I'm not. I listen.
Freddie.
I sold a lot of houses in my time, and I don't do dual agency, by the way, Rogelio. I mean, every once in a while you do it if by accident, I guess, because you're ready. But we in Massachusetts we have what's called designated agency. But as a listing agent, and then I'll pass it to whoever said, hey, Freddie, as a listing agent. Basically, I always represent the seller. So to your point, Freddie, 100%, I would tell the person, I'm fair, I'm honest, but I need to let you know I represent the seller. So if you want to get this property, well, I'll do my best to, make sure that, you feel like you got, you get what you need, but at the same time, I represent the seller, and that's it. That's it. Nothing else to say. I would never put myself in a situation besides that, because I take the listing and I represent the seller. So as long as they know, right, it's all a disclosure. They know that my representation is with the seller, and then they can make a decision. And if they like the property and it fits their needs and it works in their mortgage, and they can consult with other agents or do whatever they want, they can buy the property that they want, at the end of the day. So anyway, I'm pretty, yeah. Who was out that wanted to jump in?
That was me. That was me, David.
What's up, Maria?
So I feel like we're having an agency conversation. First of all, let's say you're a listing agent, you're hosting an open house. I make sure that anyone that works with me in my company discloses we are here because the seller hired us. We work for the seller. We give them an agency disclosure. They come in as a customer. We let them know the difference between a customer and a client. Even if they're a customer, there's no taking advantage of anyone because I'm licensed. First of all, customers deserve fair and just treatment. That means you're not abusing anybody. I mean, you're a licensed agent. That means that you're taking an oath as accepting that license to treat people fairly and ethically. So first of all, you're signing my agency disclosure saying, I work for the seller. Please acknowledge that I've told you by signing this form at our open house. Now, if I would have to deal with dual agency because I have agents that work in my company, and anyone that comes through is under the umbrella of my company. Therefore, if agent A has a buyer client already and agent B has a listing in the company, now because we have a representation on both sides, then we have dual agency. So not only do we have dual agency, and then we have to have designated agents. That's the situation that comes there. So I'm not sure what the eyes mean, Freddie. So if you want me to stop and share more on that, I'm going to pause for a moment. And if you have a question,
well, I think you came in a little late to the conversation.
Yeah,
Maria. So, I think Freddie is under the impression that if somebody doesn't, like, if buyer's agents aren't included in the transactions, like if somehow, like, like agents are going to start putting 0 on the MLS for buyer's agents just because of this new lawsuit. And Freddie thinks that it's all of a sudden, like, people are going to stop buying houses.
Well,
no, come on, Dave. That is not what I think. You are funny. Come on, man.
It's what you're saying, man. It's like, they're gonna. Okay.
That's not what I said. No.
Just because if I put out 0 for seller's agent, just because of vicarious liabilities and not to have that transferred to my client, right? That's me protecting my client, my seller client. So a broker's agent working for the seller, absolutely, or a buyer's agent. That's what we put out. But I believe come January, we can't do that pay disclose buyer agency commission. I'm not sure. I didn't read it yet, but I'm going to look into that. But if there is a 0% to a buyer's agent, I don't care who you are. You should not, because again, you should not abuse anyone or gouge anyone. And if brokers have to supervise their agents and make sure that their agents are doing the job the right way with integrity, then it's the broker's responsibility. Now, when you have a company like mine, which is an independent, right? I'm not a big franchise company. It's easy for me to supervise. So I'm not sure how easy it would be for bigger companies to supervise that. I'm sure they're going to have management teams in place, leadership teams, or whatever they want to call them. I did come from a big company. I do know, have the experience of that. So, but you're supposed to make sure that all your agents are giving everyone fair and just treatment, regardless of the relationship. Regardless, like if they're your client or your customer, and if they're a buyer that is unrepresented, there are ways. And I'm not here to teach how to structure offers or anything like that. That's not what I'm here for. But the underlying thing is that we treat everyone with the utmost of integrity, because these are people's lives. If you think about it, it took them years to save this down payment money, and then they're going to watch it disappear and transferred into their home. But their bank account shrinking like that could give anyone some fear, right? So we have to be there to treat them well and help them understand they're just taking the money from the bank and putting it into their home so it grows in the form of equity, right? That's our job, is to educate. And when we're educating and coming from the perspective of educating our customers or clients, then you're in a giving mode. That's what we're here to do. Realtors are very much needed because we do net the most. And if we're buyer's agents, we should get them the best price in terms of a lower number. So we have to do our job with integrity. And that's the most important thing. So you want to talk about gouging? That bothers me. It bothers me a lot, because that should not even be a word in anyone's vocabulary. Gouging is a harsh word. And I personally, as a real estate professional, I find that offensive.
So a question.
I just don't think it's right.
So a question for you. This is so the if you go to the New York Times there's an article about what happened yesterday, and it starts off by a federal jury ruled on Tuesday that the powerful National Association of Realtors, along with several brokerages, conspired to artificially inflate commissions paid to real estate agent, a decision that could radically change the home buying process. So essentially they ruled in favor that there was a conspiracy. So what they're saying is real estate agents, not agents, but the brokerages, right? Because the brokerages are responsible for inflating and conspiring to increase their commissions, and it's an unfair practice to sellers. So I'm curious, why do you think they sat down in front of a jury? It took years to get this thing into court, and then I think it was only like a 3-month case once it went to court. I could be wrong on that, but why do you think that the jury went in favor of the the plaintiff?
Well, I just had a potential client come in and talk to me about listing his home. And we were talking about commission. And I've always, that hasn't changed. It's the math teacher in me. I always talk numbers so people know what's coming. He asked me, he said, "What's your commission?" So we talked about, the listing side, the buying side, and all that. He goes, "Why?" And here it is. "Why am I paying the buyer brokerage commission? Why am I paying the buyer's broker a commission?" So we went into a conversation about that. But why do I think that? It's like we always say, we're going to get you the best price. Like if you have a for sale by owner, and I heard a story today that they were trying to sell it for in the fives and mid fives, and they couldn't do it. They lowered the price, still couldn't do it. And then when they listed with an agent, they ended up selling for $100,000 more than their original price. And so that could be looked at as inflating the price. And I can understand, but is it really inflating the price when you're exposing it to more people by listing with a brokerage and putting it out on MLS? So now it's exposing the property to more people, therefore more eyes on it. It's probability, as Kim Walsh Phillips says, it's math, not magic. More eyes on it means the probability of you getting more offers is greater.
Sure.
Whereas if you're marketing it to a small community, you put a sign on your lawn, you're really marketing it to who? You're marketing to people who are driving by your home. Whereas when you list with an agent, you're marketing it. I mean, there's international MLS now.
I think the
There's-
challenge though
so-
is, and so I don't mean, I mean, I built my business on working for sale by owners. So I know the conversation you're having right now. It just seems like it's different now, where you can get your house there. When I first started 21 years ago, there were no Zillows, there were no Realtor.com. Well, Realtor.com was around, but there weren't these big sites now where you can get your home in front of buyers. So I do you think that's what changed? You know, I feel like, you know, having your house exposed, and in half the battle is, you know, you're trying to sell it yourself. You know, a lot of these people, they don't know how to sell houses themselves. They're difficult. They don't know how to negotiate. Right. The people, the buyers don't feel comfortable dealing with them directly. So don't you think just getting an agent in between them and the other party also increases their chances of selling?
Well, I'll tell you, it's, it half the battle is getting a number you like as a seller, right? An offer you like as a seller, and the other half is making sure that people really qualify. I mean, I had offers come through on one of my lists. I'll never forget this conversation. The agent, when it was really like the wild west with offers, she gave me an offer $85,000 over asking, and I went through I don't know how many offers there were, all of them. I went through all of them, and I called and I spoke to her, and she said to me, I said, you know, we were talking about the appraisal factor, right? Because then by then the homes didn't catch up to the sale prices, right? And she said to me, oh, you know what? I just offered that. And then if it doesn't appraise, we'll have a conversation. We just want to get our offer accepted. If you're a for sale by owner or you're selling on your own, are you, I mean, do you know enough to protect yourself that way? Because let's say we would have accepted that, or we would have taken that offer because it was the highest and really amazing, right?
But
we would have done that. We would have lost the time and all those other backup offers because they accepted an offer that wasn't really true.
Yeah, but
She knew very well what she was doing.
But we're not talking about a for sale by owner though, Maria. We're talking about somebody that is represented by a real estate agent. The only difference is now they're, instead of them offering a co-broke, the co-broke is responsible for getting their own fee. Right. That's the only difference here.
Yeah, and that's fine. There's a way of doing that. And I have to muscle through it before I speak it out loud. So there's a little processing I have to do with all this information that's coming in the last, I don't know, 12 hours or so. So I'm not prepared to answer that right now, but I promise you I'll get back to you on that one.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is something I've been doing for a long time, and having these conversations with sellers about, you know, how there's two sides to the commission. And I feel like all it does now for me is make it an easier transition to take listings when I'm meeting with sellers, and I don't have to fight for them to sign a 6% listing and worry about paying another agent. I only have to focus on, you know, what we charge. And that's always what we did. I was taught 10 years ago to when somebody says, how much do you charge? Well, this is what I charge. And then we have to decide how much we're going to pay the other agent. So I'm actually doing a training on Monday, by the way. So I'm going to ask you guys, do me a favor, follow my YouTube channel. If you click on the link up at the top, I just dropped this whole thing is on YouTube. I wish somebody else would have joined me in the stream, but it didn't happen. But you can follow my YouTube channel. Actually, just click on I think it's the second one down. It'll bring you to my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. If you're interested, the third link down right now, I'm actually offering, we're going to do a training on Monday about this, and I'm going to give 3 months. This is like a super special summer special opportunity for for people to take 3 months of our university for the price of one and get access to this training going into the new year. That's going to set you up to be a listing specialist. So take advantage of it. I'll tell you, click on that third link right there and get yourself signed up, because you want to be on the training. And if you want, go to my YouTube channel and YouTube, Google. Just go to Google and just Google David Hill and Gary Keller, and you'll see an interview of him interviewing me on stage in front of 10,000 people, talking about for sale by owners in 2009. And it shows my production as well. So you'll know that I'm not just up here saying this to you. I'm talking to you, somebody that's lived this for the last, 21 years of my life and built my business working for sale by owners. So I've been having these conversations from the get-go. And now I'm excited about it. Like, wow, this has just made my life easier. Right? Like now I don't even have to fight for all the rest of the commission. It's like a no-brainer almost. So anyway, I just want to let you guys know that's available. Appreciate y'all being here. Again, make sure you are jump on my YouTube. Oh, you know what? Jen just, you know what? I'll keep it going for a little while longer. Since a few more people I know just popped in. Does anybody else have any questions or thoughts?
I have something to say.
Yeah. What's up, Karen?
So I agree with you as far as listing is always king, buyers will come. But based on the lawsuit, it appears that they're going to force the buyer, if they don't want to just deal with the listing agent, to hire themselves an attorney, which is going to cost them way more than a buyer's agent.
I'm not sure those. I mean, buyers have to have an attorney anyway, don't they? I mean,
well, I'm from DMV, so no.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think, yeah, I don't know DMV. I mean, in Massachusetts, the buyers need to get representation. It costs about $800, I think, or maybe a little bit more. But yeah, I think there'll be some additional elements if the attorneys have to negotiate. I think that's a problem. So I agree with you there. That could pose a problem where if attorneys have to be more involved, because attorneys don't negotiate here, they just do paperwork, right? So I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's like I'm looking at this from the eyes of a listing agent saying, I just want to go out there and get more inventory, right? Like I know you guys have been debating me on, I want, the buyer versus listing. All day, I just want more inventory. I want to be Amazon. So when someone wants to buy something, they're gonna come to me. Like it's sitting in my store. And then, if whatever it is, if my seller wants to offer compensation, then we'll offer compensation. If they don't, then we won't. And you guys can show up and say, hey, I've got a buyer and this is a situation. Either they're going to pay me or I want your seller to pay me. And I'll say, okay, submit an offer to me then, and I'll talk to my seller. I'm not going to be the agent that's going to say, I'm not talking to my seller and my seller's not paying you. I'm just going to tell you, submit your offer and let me know what you want to do. Right. Because I want to get, get the deals done. I just think from my mindset, like you guys might think I'm crazy. I just think this makes it easier to get listings now.
Hey, David, and from an inventory perspective, and I wholeheartedly agree with you as far as, the having the inventory is always the long game, right? It's going to weather, most industries. I'm sorry, it's going to weather most real estate markets. And the only reason why it is not, kind of like as effective is only because of the interest rate environments that we're in. So the interest rate environment that we're in on both sides, right? So the homeowners, right, which have not made the decision of listing their home, they're like, I'm not going to give up my less than 3% interest rate mortgage. And then the buyers are like, I'm not going to pay today's 7.88%. So it's definitely interest rate driven. And once that starts to go the other way, and I mean, just that's the key. Once it starts going the other way, so my theory is like, if you see anything that starts with a 6.99, that's going to open a ton of business, right? Because there's a lot of people that are just waiting.
Rogelio, man, you're my man. I just don't understand though how this has to do with the conversation we're having. How does the interest rates impact the conversation we're having right now? I mean, I
So
could be wrong. Maybe it does, but I want you to explain like how the
so
interest.
the how is that literally there's things right now that if you want to earn your commissions, because this is a commissions conversation, if you want to earn and almost guarantee your commissions, there's things that you can do right now. And that's why I was saying about the analogy of, you know what, forget getting your NMLS license. Focus on structuring seller financing deals, right? Focus on that then. Let that be your value proposition. Do you know how much equity there is? There's more equity than ever. So if this is a commissions based conversation right now, that's how you can get a ton of business, right? Be the
Well,
facilitator, right?
yeah,
In assumable loan financing and seller financing. I mean,
it's a
because
lot.
literally
It's a
it's about
lawsuit.
solutions.
It's a lawsuit based conversation, man. Not and it just happens to be around commissions because a lot of people felt like they got taken advantage of by having to pay other agents.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm not talking a lot about the lawsuit is because, David,
That's
I'm
what
just
this room
one
is about,
individual.
though.
Okay,
That's
true. But what I'm trying to say, David, is that I'm one individual. I have no power to control who sues who. I'm just trying to offer solutions, right? I'm just trying to offer solutions to sustain people to stay in this. This is what I think. This is the greatest time to be a real estate professional.
Mm,
It's the greatest time because while everybody's saying jump, you should be saying, let's go. Let's
amen.
go.
I'm with you on
Meaning,
that.
right? Meaning, check this out. Just with normal stocks, right? When and it's designed this way. It's designed to take your money away. When a stock starts to go down, the candle turns red. You see red, and you're like, "Oh my, I gotta sell." No, the savvy investor knows when you see red, it's on sale. Buy, 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 buy. Green means hold, 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 hold. But most people say, "Ah, it's green. Time to sell." Right? Right now, in this economy with all of the stuff, look at this. These lawsuits are only going to increase. The list just got longer today,
Mm,
right? So the reality, all I'm trying to say is you have no control over who's suing who. So come up with some amazing solutions because they're out there. The solutions are everywhere for you to have a thriving business, for you to have the best year in real estate. Literally, it's the greatest time ever. I've had my license since 2005, right? And this is the greatest opportunity I've ever seen. Why? Because everybody is saying all the headlines are reading fear, 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 fear.
that's right.
The people with the money know fear-based anything is transfer of wealth. They're scaring each and every one of you so that they can say, "Gotcha. You fell for the red candle and I'm coming to get it." So literally, don't be fearful. See the opportunities because they're all around you. Work with David. He is a specialist when it comes to listing. Join his group, right? Get your inventory. But at the same time, start learning about financing. You have a math teacher in Maria, right? She says something of I think I'm paraphrasing. Math isn't magic or math is the path, right? It's all about the numbers. There's no magic in math. The numbers are the numbers. Get creative. Be a solutions engineer. Right now is the time. Go get your slice of the pie. Literally, market share is about saying, heck yeah, I'm taking it. And 2024 is going to be the greatest year ever. I'm complete.
Thanks, my man. Listen, so I dropped the link there for right now. This is what I call a dumb deal. You can join us for 3 months from now until the end of the year. You be in our group. You're going to get access to the university. 4 or 5 calls a week. I'm going to do a live training on Monday just on this topic. I'm going to start teaching everybody what to say to sellers right now, what to send, what everything. so that you can go out there right now and capitalize. And here's the like, I'm not even gonna say it because I'm so close, but I don't know. I'm like, I don't even like right now. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it. I'm just excited. Like this excites me. It's weird. Like it excites me. Like this, which is why I'm doing this room on Clubhouse. I don't remember the last time I did a room on Clubhouse. It's been so long. I was like, I saw this and I'm like, this is a change. This is a game changer. So many people are going to get mad. They're going to get scared. They're going to not know what to do. They're going to start think, and a lot of realtors were struggling as it is. Like this, all this did was complicate things a little bit, but not for the people that are focused, not for the people that said, okay, I'm going to become the best listing agent in the world right now. And I'm going to focus on getting great inventory. And I'm going to be the guy that when I list a property, every buyer in the town is going to be lining up to try to get in my house, and as well as every agent. That's the kind of property I'm talking about listing. I'm not talking about listing the riffraff stuff that's going to sit on the market for 4 months. No, that's what Freddie was talking about earlier. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that premium listing that's in the nice neighborhood, that's in the school system everybody wants to be at, with the yard, with the finish, where everything's. That's what I'm talking about. When you list that, trust me, you don't have to worry about whether you have a 0 on the MLS or not. They're going to be banging your door down. And that is what we need to be focusing on right now, my friends. And if you want to learn that, then there's a link right there. And I promise you, it's going to go away. It's not going to be that. It's just not going to be available for long. So join us. You can join us right now for 3 months, and for only $297, which is nothing, and get involved in the amount of education, training, and what we do. So that said, I got to get going. I've been on here for an hour and 9 minutes. I'll let Jennifer. I know she popped in. She's a friend of mine. Quick, and then Jennifer, you want to add anything to this conversation? What are your thoughts? I think in Jersey too, you guys are already doing this thing, right? Where they're putting zeros on the MLS.
Yeah, our MLS allows it, but I've always done what you said, where I take the listing, my percentage is this. What do you want to pay the other side? And you go through the options, and that's it. So I don't really see a difference. I don't know. I guess a lot of people weren't trained like that or something. I'm not really sure, but nothing has really changed for me. I'm like, okay, whatever. Because all I do is take listings anyway.
I'll tell you what'll get easier for you though is when you call in for sale by owners now. That's what's going to get easier for you. So, and we'll be talking about that on Monday. It's I don't know. Like I said, I'm literally considering, like I've been giving all the real estate to my wife for the last year. I'm really contemplating just gonna start myself renew my license again. Well, my license is active. It's just I'm just not practicing right now. I may just go back active again and just friggin' start taking listings right away. I don't know.
Hey, David, I have a question.
Back and forth. Yeah. What's up?
So I'm reading the New York Times thing you were talking about. And it says, if commissions can be lowered, the price of every home will come down. Jobs and wages will go up. Tax revenues will increase. People can easily move to better, more fulfilling jobs. And that was by Jack Ryan. I mean, look, I don't know that the price of every home is going to come down just by,
Yeah.
I don't even know how accurate
hyperbole,
that is.
yeah, right.
So I don't know. The more I'm reading about this, and I agree with Jennifer, Jen, sorry, I got your last name in there. I mean, I've been doing what you said also, and so has everyone in my company. So David, I'm excited. I will look into your thing and maybe join you.
Do it. I know you've been talking about it for a while. So right now is a cool opportunity to do it for like hardly any money. It's like nothing, like it's so cheap. But listen, here's the thing. I think there's definitely some truth. And the point of the matter is that they found them guilty. Regardless of all the other, I don't know if I said it, hyperbole. Is that the word? Is that they call it? Is our prices really going to go down? Why would prices go down? Supply and demand, no supply, right? If you don't have supply, prices aren't going to go down. I think what's going to ultimately happen is the sellers may end up, putting a little extra money in their pockets if they do it right, you know? And I think that's what created this in the first place. I don't know. We'll see. But all I know is, you know, you should be focused on listings. You should be focused on how am I going to move forward? What's my conversation going to sound like? What am I going to say? Who should I be talking to? What do I say to the other agents that call? You know, all those things. What should I be saying to my sellers? This is what we all should be focused on right now. Because even though you know, it's right now they you know, it's what they appealed it. There's been an appeal. So technically nothing's going to happen. It might take a year, 2 years, but hey, get in front of the game. I think you're going to see most brokerages now get in front of it, because who knows what can happen. I talked about this earlier. You know, there may be some people now that go back and go back now and say, hey, I sold my house in 2018 and we paid a buyer's agent $20,000 and we want that $20,000 back. I hate to say it, but I'm betting there's going to be some attorneys that are going to start jumping on this and looking for those sellers. So it's going to get messy. But that doesn't bother, you know, you as the real estate agent.
Where's the money coming from?
It's a great question, right? Yeah, who knows? The brokerages, I guess, right? You know, insurances. I don't know. It's crazy, right?
You didn't twist anyone's arm to pay that. It's not. And I know with me, I always have the conversation about the other side. So, and now our contract, our exclusive right to represent, has initials there. So they agreed. You know, so where would it come from? I mean, would you go to the receiving broker? Where would you go? And then what? I mean, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's complicated, right? I don't know and I'm not even saying that's going to happen. And don't quote me. I'm just saying, I'm just thinking out loud, like this is what potentially could happen, right? Like I've seen all kinds. I've been doing real estate 21 years. I've seen all kinds of stuff happen. I've seen these little weasel attorneys show up. They crawl out from under rocks and try to sue you for stuff, right? Like somebody bought a house from me 5 years ago and they have water in their basement. And, you know, there was a big storm. There was like a tornado and they got water in the basement. So what do? They go out and hire an attorney that they're going to sue our brokerage. And what does our brokerage do? They settle. Oh, we're just going to settle. Because we don't want to deal with it. Like that's, I don't know. I mean, I think anything's possible, Maria, based on what I've experienced in this business, right? Who knows? But anyway, that said, we appreciate you guys being here. Thank y'all. If hopefully some of you will join us. If you do, great. You'll have a cool opportunity to hang out with us and see what we do. And that said, I'll probably be back later with another conversation. I'm surprised there's not more real estate agents in here jumping into this conversation. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.